Good morning, students. Welcome to class 9th History. My name is Manav Chaudhary. Students, today we are going to start a new chapter of history. So let me ask you a question. Which is the largest country in the world? Some of you may know the answer, and the correct answer is Russia. Yeah. Again, another question. Which country having ruble as its currency? So again, the answer will be Russia. Now, have you ever heard about Russian Revolution? Some of you may have, some of you may have not. So students, today's our chapter will be Russian Revolution. So, history chapter number 2, Socialism in Europe and the Russian Revolution. So students, let's start this chapter with the introduction point. Two revolutions occurred in Russia in 1917. The first revolution in February overthrew the Russian monarchy. Monarchy is a system that is having king as its supreme authority. The second revolution in October created the world's first communist state. The Russian revolutionaries of 1917 involved a series of uprisings of workers and peasants throughout the country and by the soldiers who were predominantly of peasant origin in the Russia. Many of the uprisings were organized and led by democratically elected councils called Soviets. The Soviets originated as strike committee and were basically a form of local self-government. They overthrew the Russian monarch. As I told you, there was monarchy in Russia. Emperor Nicholas II and the ruling Romanov dynasty, he was also known as Tsar, took place and uprising the latest form of February from 23 to 27 in 1917. The events of late February 1917 are also known as February Revolution. As studies in first chapter, French Revolution has created the possibilities to bring the dramatically changes including equality, fraternity, liberty in Europe. As we know, we have three main new things in our society. One, liberty, second, equality, and third, fraternity. However, not everyone was in the favor of change of society. Responses varied from one who want complete change or wishes for gradual shift or wanted to restructure the society. These variations give rise to liberals, radicals, and conservatives. So, who were liberals? The liberal are those who wanted a nation that could tolerate all religion as a people. They approached for elected parliamentary government, subject to laws, not the rulers. But they felt only men of property the right to vote. Other words, radicals. They wanted a nation in which government is based on majority of country's population. They were in favor of existence of private property, but do not want concentration of people in few hands. The conservatives, they wanted a nation in which resist change. Means the conservative wants the rule of Tsar. They were in the favor of rulers like Tsar Nicholas II. But later by 19th century, they opened their mind to need for change. They also wanted to respect past and brought change from slow process. So let's talk about how socialization spread in Europe. Socialists in Europe were against private property. So socialism is a thought that is against private property, means everybody has right on the property. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels added their ideas. Marx argued that industrial society was capitalist, who aimed capital invested in factories and profit was produced by the workers. Marx believed that socialist society would free the worker from capitalism. It would be a communist society. Only the communist society can free a social worker. Russian Revolution. What is the Russian Revolution was basically about? It was about removing the king from his post, means removing autocracy, the fall of monarchy in February 1917 and the events of October, normally called as Russian Revolution. Tsar Nicholas Russia was ruling in Russia from 1914 to 1917 till the date he was removed from his post. There you can see the image of Tsar, the king of Russia. How was the economy and the society of Russian Empire when the Russian Revolution happened? Almost 85% of Russia were agriculturists and were major exporter of grain. We have a slight error, gain, exporter of grain. Industry was found in pockets mostly located in St. Petersburg, and it was a setup in 1890s when the Russian Revolution extended and invested in industry that has increased the coal production and doubled the iron steel output, and that also quadrupled. Means 1819 the Russian Revolution extended the investment in industries. The coal production, they also invested in coal production, they also invested in iron and steel production. All of these production either doubled or quadrupled. Quadrupled means 4 times the increase in investment. Socialism in Russia. Before 1914, all political parties were illegal. As I have told you, we have autocracy. Autocracy means one man will rule the country, and whatever he will decide, that will be the law of country. Russian Socialist Democratic Workers' Party were founded in 1898 by socialists who respected Marx's ideas. Vladimir Lenin, who led the Bolshevik Revolution or Bolshevik group, felt that the peasants were not united by group and divided as rich, poor, or laborers or capitalists. That means the society was divided in either rich or poor, or the capitalist or the laborers. Means there were no middle class in the society according to Vladimir Lenin. Lenin thought that party should be disciplined and control member and the quality of its member. The Mensheviks, the other party than Bolshevik were known as Mensheviks, thought that party should be open to all. Bloody Sunday. In 1904, prices of essential goods rose so quickly that the real wages declined by 20% of workers were dismissed at Putilov Iron Works. This means In 1904, just before 1905, when the Russia was defeated by the small island known as Japan, the 20% of membership of worker were dismissed from Putilov Iron Works. That means the czarist, the czar, the king, he was not able to give payment to the workers. Over 1,10,000 workers in St. Petersburg went on to the strike and demanded for reduction of working condition. They went to strike and they demanded that the working conditions should be improved, they should be paid enough wages, they should have less timing of works. But in spite of doing all this, the king ordered to murder million of workers. That is why this is known as Bloody Sunday. Thousands of workers were killed. The February Revolution in Petrograd. Petrograd was given in the winter of 1917. That means the king left and he handed over Petrograd to the Bolshevik revolutionaries. There were heavy food shortage in workers' quarters. Parliamentarians wishes to preserve elected government that were opposed to Tsar desire to dissolve Duma. That means Tsar that was having desire to dissolve Duma. Duma was the parliamentary system that is developed in Russia. So Tsar was having desire to dissolve Duma. He don't want any representation of people. On 22nd of February, a lockout took place at a factory followed by strike next day. Demonstrating workers crossed from factory quarters to capital. No political party organized this movement. That means it was auto-generated by the people of Russia, the poor people of Russia. October Revolution in 1917. So there were revolution in February, there were revolution in October. So many of revolution. Here we can see how these revolutions were different from each other. Lenin feared the provincial government that would set up a dictatorship. He persuaded Petrograd, Soviet and Bolshevik party to agree on socialist seizure of power. The uprising began on 24th of October. PM Kerensky had left the city to summon troops. Military men loyal to government seized the building of Bolsheviks newspapers. Military Revolutionary Committee ordered to seize the government offices and arrest the minister in response. The Aurora ship sailed the Winter's Palace. Other vessels took over military points. The Lenin arrived in Russia, as we can see in this image, and motivated people to vote against the Kerensky. Again, this revolution was basically on when in February the Mensheviks came into power after Tsar left the throne, after Tsar left the Russia. But Bolsheviks that were led by Vladimir Lenin that came into power in October 1917. That is why this is known as October Revolution. After that, there were two parties, Bolshevik and Mensheviks, and there were differences in their ideas. So some people of Russia were with Bolsheviks and some of them were with Mensheviks. So a kind of civil war developed in Russia. that Russian army broke out when Bolshevik ordered land redistribution, because Bolsheviks were in the favor of the society and land belonged to each and every person of the Russia. During 1819 and 1918 and 1919, the Greens, socialist revolutionaries, and the whites, pro-Tsarist, controlled most of Russia Empire, backed by French, Americans, British, and Japanese. So here we can see two type of groups: the Greens, the socialists, the Bolshevik and the Mensheviks, and the whites, pro-Tsarist, means they were in favor of Tsar, and they what the Tsar should return Russia and should rule Russia. So mainly the Russia were ruled by the Greens and the whites, and mostly was controlled by the Russian Empire, backed by French government, American government, British and Japanese troops. Civil war took place between these troops, means Greens and whites, and Bolsheviks. Supporter of private property among whites took step with peasants who seized lands. Means whites who were pro-Tsarist, they were against the distribution of land. So they tried to manipulate some of the small peasants, and they tried that white took step with peasants who seized lands. Now we should talk about Stalin and his collectivization. I mean, how he collected all the society in one form. Why he was in the favor of redistribution of land. What were the main focus points of his collectivization? So first point, small forms were joined together, means collecting small form into single form and giving that form to farmers to work efficiently, to improve efficiency. Why this was given? To improve the efficiency. Destroy the kulaks. Kulaks were the landlords. Increase Stalin control of countryside, means he wants to control the Russia and all the borders of Russian Empire. Increase grain production to sell abroad for foreign currency. As we know, foreign currency are very important these days. If we have maximum foreign currencies, our economy is also strong. So as we know, Russia were agriculture land, and 85% of Russian people were engaged in peasantry or farms. So he decided that we should grow grains and we should sell it to another countries so that we should get foreign currencies. Now students, let us talk about the global influence of Russian Revolution and the USSR. The USSR that developed in 1917, and later in 1991 it was disintegrated in the form of Russia and 14 other countries. In many countries, communist party were formed. Many non-Russian from outside the USSR participated in the Conference of People of the East, and the Bolsheviks founded Comintern, an international union of pro-Bolshevik socialist parties. So they developed what? They developed a theme, a theory in which many countries communist were formed. So many countries were get together, and many of the non-Russian and outside of USSR participated in the Conference of People of the East and the Bolshevik founded Comintern, an international union of pro-Bolshevik socialist parties. Though its industries and agriculture had developed, the poor were being fed. The essential freedom to its citizen was being denied. It was recognized that the social idea still enjoy the respect among Russians. So if we can concentrate in the last paragraph, we'll go through it. Though it is industries and agriculture, yes, there were lot of industry and agriculture everywhere in the Russia that had developed. Poor were being fed, so the poor are now being fed. The essential freedoms to its citizen was being denied. Despite of the poor was being fed, yet the essential freedom that the Stalin want to control was denied from the Russian people. It was recognized that the social ideas still enjoyed respect among Russian. So it was forceful on that the social idea means the people of Russia enjoy the ideas or the ideals of socialism in Europe. So after 1970 till 1991, the Russia was a great power, but later on it was disintegrated after Second World War. After the period of Second World War from 1945 to 1991, it became a superpower, but later in 1991 it was disintegrated in 14 other nations like Bulgaria, etc., Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, etc. and etc. So students, thanks for watching the video.